Becky Lynch just crossed a line that nobody saw coming, and the fallout is absolutely insane. Jessika Carr, one of the most respected referees in WWE, is now suspended because of the man's ruthless tactics. But here's where it gets crazy. Please subscribe and hit that notification bell for more amazing highlights, because what happened next sent shockwaves through the entire locker room, and Liv Morgan's master plan just took a turn that nobody could have predicted. Let's rewind for a second. Becky Lynch has always been known for pushing boundaries, for doing whatever it takes to win, but what she did to Jessika Carr wasn't just about winning a match. This was personal. This was calculated. This was the man showing everyone that when her back is against the wall, there are no limits to what she'll do. Jessika Carr has been breaking barriers, shattering glass ceilings, and earning respect in a business that doesn't hand out respect easily. She's officiated some of the biggest matches in recent memory, and she's done it with professionalism and integrity. But Becky saw an opportunity, and she took it without hesitation. During a match that was already intense, emotions running high, tempers flaring, Becky found herself in a position where the referee became part of the story. Now, we've seen wrestlers bump into refs before. It happens. It's part of the chaos. But what Becky did was different. She didn't accidentally collide with Jessika. She orchestrated a situation where Jessika had no choice but to become involved, where the optics looked so bad that WWE management had no choice but to take action. And that's the genius of it, if we're being honest. Becky didn't just physically attack a referee in an obvious way that would get her immediately disqualified and suspended herself. No, she's smarter than that. She created a scenario where Jessika looked like she lost control of the match, where it appeared that Jessika's judgment was compromised, where the integrity of the officiating itself came into question. The aftermath was swift and brutal. WWE management reviewed the footage, and within 24 hours, Jessika Carr was suspended pending further investigation. The announcement sent shockwaves through the WWE universe. Fans were outraged. Fellow referees were stunned. And the locker room? The locker room started choosing sides. Some wrestlers publicly defended Jessika, calling the suspension unjust and pointing fingers directly at Becky Lynch. Others stayed silent, not wanting to get caught in the crossfire. Because here's the thing about Becky Lynch: she's not someone you want as an enemy. She's proven time and time again that she'll do whatever it takes, and if you stand in her way, you better be prepared for war. But Jessika's suspension created a vacuum, and that vacuum needed to be filled. Enter the replacement referee, and this is where the story gets even more twisted. WWE didn't just bring in any referee. They brought in someone with a history, someone with connections to certain wrestlers, someone whose presence in Becky's matches raises serious questions about fairness and impartiality. Was this intentional? Did Becky somehow influence who would replace Jessika? Or is this just WWE management playing four-dimensional chess, setting up storylines within storylines, creating drama that'll keep us all talking for weeks? The replacement referee officiated Becky's next match, and let's just say the officiating was questionable at best. Fast counts that benefited Becky. Slow counts when her opponent had her down. Missed calls that would have changed the outcome. And Becky? She played it perfectly, acting like everything was normal, like she had no idea why people were upset, like she was just out there doing her job and winning matches fair and square. But we know better. We all know better. The man just pulled off one of the most strategic moves we've seen in years, removing an obstacle, installing someone more favorable, and doing it in a way where she can claim plausible deniability. Now, while all of this Becky Lynch drama was unfolding, something else was happening that deserves our attention. Liv Morgan has been playing a long game, a very long game, and just when we thought we had her figured out, just when we thought we knew what her endgame was, she threw us a curveball that nobody saw coming. Liv has been methodically building alliances, whispering in ears, planting seeds of doubt, and positioning herself as a power player in the women's division. Her plan seemed obvious at first: target the championship, eliminate the competition, surround herself with loyal allies who would help her maintain dominance once she reached the top. But here's where Liv showed us all how smart she really is. Her real plan wasn't what we thought. The championship? That was misdirection. The alliances? Some of them were genuine, but others were strategic sacrifices. Liv Morgan wasn't just trying to become champion. She was trying to completely restructure the power dynamics of the entire women's division, and she was using everyone's assumptions about her to mask her true intentions. The surprising turn came when Liv suddenly aligned with someone we all thought was her sworn enemy. Someone who had cost her matches, humiliated her on multiple occasions, and seemed like the last person on earth Liv would ever work with. The announcement of their partnership sent the WWE universe into absolute chaos. Social media exploded. Fans couldn't believe it. Critics called it a betrayal. But Liv sat there with that knowing smile, that look that says she's 3 steps ahead of everyone else, and she explained her reasoning in a way that actually made perfect sense. She pointed out that emotions and personal grudges had been holding her back, that success in WWE requires pragmatism, that sometimes you have to work with people you don't like to achieve goals you can't reach alone. And suddenly, this alliance that seemed insane started to look brilliant. Because here's what Liv understood that others didn't: the women's division was stuck in predictable patterns, with the same people fighting for the same positions, and nothing really changing. By forming this unexpected alliance, Liv didn't just add a powerful ally to her corner. She completely disrupted the existing power structure, forced everyone else to reconsider their own alliances and strategies, and positioned herself as the unpredictable factor that nobody can properly account for. Champions who thought they knew who their threats were now have to recalculate. Contenders who had clear paths to title shots now find themselves navigating a much more complicated landscape. And Liv's new ally? They're benefiting just as much from this arrangement. Their career had plateaued, they were stuck in mid-card purgatory with no clear path upward, but now they're suddenly relevant again, suddenly a threat, suddenly someone that main eventers have to take seriously. It's a mutually beneficial relationship built on strategic thinking rather than friendship, and those kinds of alliances can be incredibly dangerous because both parties are fully invested in making it work. But wait, because we're not done yet. While Becky Lynch is manipulating the referee situation and Liv Morgan is rewriting the women's division playbook, the New Day finds themselves at a crossroads that could define their legacy. For over a decade, the New Day has been one of the most successful and beloved factions in WWE history. Multiple tag team championships, record-breaking title reigns, mainstream crossover success, and enough positive power to fill an entire warehouse. They've been the foundation of WWE's tag team division, the reliable constant in an ever-changing landscape. But recently, cracks have started to show. Not the dramatic, explosive cracks that lead to immediate betrayals and bitter feuds, but the subtle cracks that come from time, from evolution, from individuals wanting different things at different stages of their careers. Kofi Kingston has been vocal about wanting another WWE Championship run, about proving that his historic WrestleMania moment wasn't a fluke but the beginning of a new chapter. Xavier Woods has been exploring opportunities outside the ring, building his brand, creating content, and you can tell he's thinking about life after wrestling. And Big E? Big E's situation breaks everyone's heart because we all know how talented he is, how much he has left to give, but injuries have derailed what should have been his time at the top. The question isn't whether the New Day will break up, that feels almost inevitable at this point. The question is how it'll happen and what it means for everyone involved. Will it be an amicable split where they acknowledge that they've accomplished everything together and it's time to pursue individual goals? Or will WWE take the dramatic route, creating tension, building resentment, and giving us a heartbreaking betrayal angle that turns one of wrestling's most positive acts into a bitter rivalry? Recent weeks have given us hints, small moments that could be innocuous or could be foreshadowing, arguments that get a little too heated, looks that linger a little too long after losses, decisions made without full group consensus. And the WWE universe is starting to brace itself because we've seen this movie before. We've watched stable after stable implode, watched friendships destroyed for the sake of storylines, watched brothers turn on each other in the name of championship gold and main event spots. What makes the New Day situation different is the genuine friendship that exists outside the ring, the real bond that's been documented over years of travel, interviews, and social media. These aren't just co-workers playing characters. These are legitimate friends who've supported each other through injuries, personal struggles, and professional setbacks. So when WWE decides to pull the trigger on a New Day breakup storyline, it's going to hit different. It's going to feel more real because, in many ways, it is more real. There's also the business side to consider. The New Day has been merchandise moving machines for years. Their branding is instantly recognizable. Breaking them up is a financial risk, but it's also a potential opportunity to create 3 strong single stars instead of one dominant team. Kofi has already proven he can carry a world championship. Xavier has shown flashes of singles brilliance. And if Big E can return to full health, we all know he has main event potential. But there's no guarantee that all 3 will be more successful apart than they are together, and that's the gamble WWE is facing. Let's circle back to how all 3 of these stories connect, because nothing in WWE happens in isolation. Becky Lynch manipulating the referee situation affects everyone who faces her, including potential challengers from Liv Morgan's newly restructured women's division. If Becky holds all the cards when it comes to officiating, how does anyone beat her fairly? And if the New Day splits, that impacts the entire tag team division, potentially opening spots for other teams, changing title picture dynamics, and creating new rivalry opportunities. There's also the meta-narrative about power and control in WWE. Becky is showing that manipulating systems and rules can be more effective than pure in-ring dominance. Liv is demonstrating that strategic thinking and surprising alliances can overcome traditional power structures. And the New Day's potential split represents how even the strongest bonds can be tested by ambition and time. These are themes that resonate beyond wrestling, themes about success, loyalty, adaptation, and what people are willing to sacrifice to achieve their goals. The Jessika Carr situation deserves more attention too, because it's not just about one suspended referee. It's about precedent. If Becky can engineer a referee's suspension and replacement, what stops others from trying the same tactic? We could be looking at a new era where wrestlers spend as much time manipulating the officials as they do training for matches. And if WWE management is complicit, either through incompetence or intentional storyline building, that raises questions about the integrity of the entire system. When referees become storyline pawns rather than neutral arbiters, the entire structure of competitive sports entertainment starts to crumble. Liv Morgan's plan taking a surprising turn is particularly fascinating because it shows character growth. The old Liv would have let emotions dictate her decisions, would have rejected alliances with people she disliked, would have taken the straightforward path even if it wasn't the smartest one. This new Liv is calculating, pragmatic, willing to make uncomfortable choices for long-term gain. That character evolution makes her more dangerous and more interesting. She's not just another wrestler chasing titles, she's a strategist rebuilding the division in her image. The New Day storyline hits differently because of the emotional investment fans have in these characters. We've celebrated with them through championships. We've laughed at their antics. We've respected their positivity in an often cynical business. Watching them potentially fall apart feels like watching childhood friends drift away after graduation. It's painful because it feels inevitable and natural even though we wish it didn't have to happen. And WWE knows this, which is why they'll milk every possible emotion out of this storyline before it reaches its conclusion. What we're witnessing right now is WWE at its most complex and layered. These aren't simple good versus evil stories. These are nuanced narratives about people making difficult choices, about power dynamics constantly shifting, about loyalty being tested against ambition. Becky Lynch isn't a straightforward villain, she's a competitor willing to bend rules because she believes winning matters more than how you win. Liv Morgan isn't a pure hero, she's an opportunist making strategic plays that benefit herself first. The New Day aren't victims, they're professionals navigating the reality that all good things eventually end. The suspended referee angle might seem like a small detail, but it's actually revolutionary. How often do we see wrestlers manipulating systems rather than just fighting harder? How often does WWE acknowledge that the machinery behind the match's referees, management, rules themselves can be exploited? This is smart storytelling that adds layers to what could have been a basic rivalry. Now every Becky Lynch match carries additional tension because we're watching not just the in-ring action but the potential for referee manipulation. And here's where it all comes together. In a few weeks or months, we could see these storylines intersect in unexpected ways. Maybe Liv's new alliance targets Becky, forcing the man to face opponents who are just as willing to manipulate systems as she is. Maybe the New Day's breakup creates a vacuum in the locker room that Liv's faction fills, establishing her as not just a women's division power player but a backstage political force. Maybe Jessika Carr returns with a grudge, determined to ensure fair officiating even if it means making enemies of WWE's top stars. The beauty of professional wrestling is that everything is connected, every action creates reactions, and the best storytelling happens when multiple narratives weave together into something larger than the sum of their parts. Right now, WWE is planting seeds that could grow into epic confrontations, heartbreaking betrayals, and shocking alliances that we can't even imagine yet. Becky's referee manipulation could inspire others to try similar tactics, creating an epidemic of officiating chaos. Liv's surprising alliance could spark a wave of unexpected partnerships as everyone scrambles to adapt. The New Day's potential split could trigger a domino effect of faction realignments throughout the entire roster. What makes this moment so compelling is the uncertainty. We don't know how far Becky will go to maintain her advantage or when someone will finally stop her. We don't know what Liv's ultimate endgame is or how her new alliance will evolve. We don't know when or how the New Day will reach their breaking point or what comes after. That uncertainty keeps us watching, keeps us speculating, keeps us invested in outcomes that we can't predict. The WWE Universe is witnessing something special right now, multiple high-stakes storylines running simultaneously, each one rich with possibility, each one capable of heading in multiple directions. This is what wrestling should be: complex, unpredictable, emotionally resonant, and impossible to look away from. So whatever happens next with Becky Lynch and her referee situation, whatever Liv Morgan reveals as the next phase of her plan, whatever decision the New Day ultimately makes about their future, we'll all be watching, analyzing, debating, and feeling every moment of it. Because that's what Hardcore Highlights is all about, bringing you the moments that matter, the stories that resonate, the drama that makes professional wrestling the most unique form of entertainment on the planet.